Alright, hey guys, what's up? Berserk 386 side video for the video this morning. First off, a lot of really good comments and stuff. A lot of really good ideas too, right? Someone said that they first off, check out the video first, and you don't have to watch the whole video, but you should check out the comments. There's a lot of really good ideas, and I'm making this as I just read through them, right? Someone said that they think the eclipse is still ongoing because, you know, Guts and Griffith are part of the same coin, and it's not done because Guts, Griffith, and Casper. I get what they're saying, right? Because the last two sacrifices have weren't made, so it's still kind of like they're the keys to the completion of that eclipse and whatnot. And I think that's a valid point. And then someone else said something, and this resonated with me, right? Because they said that they hope that Berserk gets over the this, like, it's not dark. It's feeling kind of like it might end without the dark tone. And what I mean, like, you know how we saw that Griffith has nothing and he's just kind of like a poser pretty much. It might end like with Guts saying, you have nothing and you can't really hurt me, you're just a poser, you're just a sniveling, the same sniveling, decrepit person we saw right before the whole eclipse happened, blah blah blah. And that might be a little cheesy end to that, right? But no, I get what that person is saying, but why does that resonate with me so much? Well, the reason is because I really felt like the series, me personally, it's kind of like they had Guts looking fragile for a bit. He wasn't acting like how Guts acts, you know, being tough, the guy who just endures and just pushes through all conflict without resolution, just keeps marching forward, keeps moving forward, you know. Then touch on things like the demon dog, and that's another thing that's bothering me a little bit, right? I feel like that's a whole nother thing that hasn't been explained, like the demon dog, because yes, we know it's pretty much the darker side of Guts and stuff, but that could have really been explored in this these last few chapters where he was encased in that cocoon thing and whatever, and was rebirthed and stuff. I feel like a lot of things could have been touched on instead of this flowery kind of explanation of stuff. But again, I am not a manga writer, so I cannot be so quick to, you know, criticize people's works, right? Because clearly they are trying to give us the story narrative without, at least this is what I'm thinking, they're trying to give us as much of, I'm keeping that in the video. You gotta be crazy. Yeah, they're trying to give us a lovely story narrative without us, like, coming up with weird theories and stuff, right? And what I mean by that is, remember the author, Miria, God rest his soul, is dead. So it could be that he left like little napkins or notes or ideas of how you want things to play out, and not fully completed. So that's why we're getting this kind of flowery representation of what's happening. Like, oh, this is supposed to happen at this point. Wasn't fully explained because, maybe, again, it's not Muriel writing this, it's his friends and stuff. So they're going off of their head and what he said to them, possibly, or what's being interpreted by the notes he left. I don't know, right? I'm not in the editing room. But based on what I'm seeing and stuff, it could be just like a clean-cut representation of what his ideas were without all the explanation in between. Then again, I could be absolutely wrong, and they are just taking liberal, you know, creators, like, ideas to just make this thing flow the way they want it to flow. I don't know. Either way, this ending that we're going to get as it comes to fruition is going to be an interpretation of the ending from the great author, and not the real ending. But I don't want that to be a cap out, right? Because I don't want to say like, oh, if I don't like the ending, well, it's not the real ending of Berserk. At this point in time, whatever ending I get, I will accept, unless it's so heinous and stupid and against the whole story that I can't accept it, right? But I do like the fact that Griffith is revealed to be pretty much a false king. The God hand is not on his side with what's happening, and they're pretty much laughing at him in front of his face, right? So I do like that fact. But my concerns are there should be something more sinister and dark afoot, because it does not make sense having all those people in the city based on the historical data we are given in Berserk, where we saw on the city there were a lot of people with markings of the sacrificial brand in their skulls and stuff. That means the brand scars you to the bone, so you cannot get away from it, right? And not, that doesn't have any significance or meaning, right? So there needs to be something, and I don't want to sound like some RPG fanatic, right? But it has to be something world-ending or world-breaking that is being planned by the God Hand and stuff, right? Like it can't be just they're making fun of Griffith and everybody just pointing fingers and laughing, and then Guts comes to meet the God and like, yeah, this is your king. You know, this loser, like a Black Panther scene, like, is this your king? You know, like that. No, it can't be like that. It has to be something deeper, right? Like, what are we missing? We know the army, the Krishna army is going to go fight against the Band of Hawk and stuff. They're going to go to Falconia. Not necessarily fight against the people, but fight against the demonic armies that Griffith is leading, right? We know Guts is going to go face off against Griffith at some point. We know that Casca's there. She's not fully healed, but I don't know what her stuff is going. Like, they have her as like a damsel right now. Every time she's just screaming and her brand is hurting and she's not really talking right now. So that's its own situation, right? So trying to figure that out. You see what I'm saying? It's like something is missing, and then they're saying, oh, Guts and Griffith are the same, blah, blah, blah. What does that mean? Two parts of the same whole? Does that mean that since Griffith didn't kill Guts in the sacrifice, that Guts is now has access possible to Griffith's powers because he didn't sacrifice him, and he was like the main course when you sacrifice him and Casca because they were the last two alive. So Casca's still alive, Guts is still alive. They kill everybody else, but since they were the last two left alive, Guts could tap into Griffith's abilities to then use it against the God Hand to fight. I don't know, right? And you see, I didn't present that idea earlier today because it sounds cheesy, right? When you hear me say it, it sounds like, that seems kind of far-fetched, right? Yeah, this is the whole point. It's just like there's a lot happening that we don't know or understand. So with that being said, I'm playing a wait-and-see approach right now where just waiting, no judgment. I have ideas and theories. And if you guys want to hear me talk about those ideas and theories and elaborate on them more, let me know. It's so much happening. I don't want to make the series sound cheesier than it may be, right? But I'll just give you one idea and theory right now. They said Guts and Griffith are the same. That's something I was thinking about. Guts obviously doesn't like what Griffith did, right? Griffith pretty much boned his girl in front of him and then made her go crazy for several years, tainted their kid, and now Griffith is their kid because of the rebirth and cycle that they did in the series, right? And the Moonlight Boy is now Griffith and all those things. But, like, in so doing, Griffith has displayed more... Alright, so Guts is... This is going to sound crazy, right? But so Guts is very good, right? He is the protagonist. He is the good person, and his actions are noble and good. Griffith is not good. He's the anti-villain, right? In a sense, because he creates these... Well, he's a narcissist, first off, right? But he's doing good things for people, but by twisting them, right? He's using his position of power to become a false king and create this false narrative, but at the same time he's doing it for his own ego, but he's also doing it to actually help people in his land. So he's a piece of shit, but I guess his intentions are to rule people, but he wants to rule nobly, even though he's a piece of shit, right? So he's like a child with absolute power. So if Guts and Griffith are one and the same, but yet at the same time Griffith is Guts' son, he's gonna go manage Griffith, spank him like his son. But a fusion, as someone mentioned in my last video, it's possible, right? Because again, in order to defeat the God Hand, I don't see Guts being able to fight against them on equal footing unless he gets similar abilities and powers. So maybe it's a possibility for Griffith to siphon his power to Guts, because two things are going against him. One, he's beneath Guts because he is Guts' son, essentially. And also, he's beneath Guts because he's just a bad person, albeit he has good intentions, but again, he's a narcissist, so he needs to feel like he's on top of everyone and he's a king, even though he's a false king. You see what I'm saying? So maybe Guts puts him in his place, slap him around a couple of times like, hey Griffith, you see what you did? You're a piece of crap, but you know what? We could right the wrongs here. We have to sacrifice ourselves fighting the God Hand and putting them away forever. And Falconia could be a real dream, just not for you, because you're a piece of crap. Maybe the land and the idea of Falconia could be there, but with no false kings, right? Start afresh. Maybe even have the kid who was there sucking Griffith off, saying, oh my God, he's so noble, he's so beyond us. Yeah, maybe have him lead the people through the turmoil. Either way, yeah, you guys tell me what you think and comment down below. I really like the comments and stuff, so keep them coming. If you want me to come up with my wild theories and stuff, still let me know too, because again, it's a lot of wild stuff. Because like, but at the same time, I'm just trying to watch and see what unfolds, because it's a very delicate process. I can only imagine. I would not want to be writing from someone's head and the person is not in the world anymore, right? Because again, let's be real, Murio's a genius. Like, I've been reading Berserk, like I've read it so many times. The man's a genius. He probably went mad writing this thing, because it's such a good series. Like, if you haven't read Berserk, you know what I'm talking about. It's so good. It's so good. Like, it's one of my favorite stories. But it's just like right now, it's very different, but not. But again, I'm not criticizing it. It's just not as, I get what other people are saying. It's not as dark as it was, but it might be for a specific reason, to keep it as close to what the author was thinking while they were still alive. Because again, I could only imagine Murio probably didn't even, and I'm not trying to say this to insult the man. The man is a genius. I mean, maybe he himself was struggling with how he was going to end it, because it's such a deep storyline. He was like, maybe I can't end it on a good note. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I could do that. Because it's so deep. It's kind of like you know, how do I say this? The story is so deep, and the story is so good. He probably, and the thing is, he used to take so long to do chapters. He probably sat there and thought about every detail, because of how the paintings were done and the animation was done and the illustrations were done. Sorry. And just his thought process and the feel of the environment. The environment, while Murio is still alive, felt, as the guy said before, it felt dark. It felt majestic. It felt, you know, like it was scary sometimes. Sometimes the environment was so scary. It like one of my scariest the scariest spots for me is like, and don't laugh, right? But it's kind of like when Guts was going up against the fairies and stuff, right? That area with the fire, and he was fighting fairy in the forest and stuff. That was pretty dark, right? It's just Berserk, and then when he got the Berserk armor too, like that was freaking impactful, and it was so. But that wasn't so scary. It felt like Guts had, I don't know. He felt strong, and he felt, you know, like he could get through it, right? Because it's just like, but there were times in that whole fight too, it was like, oh my God, is he gonna die? How he's gonna get through this situation, you know? It's just, and you could feel it. You could feel it when you read it, right? You could feel the passion and the emotion and all this stuff, right? So that's why it's so hard to say what's going to happen now. So that's my 2 cents. All right, talk to you now. Take care.